What is up, everybody? Stacey Blackwood here from the Tide Talk podcast, and as you can see, I am joined by my good buddy Jake Thomas. Jake, what's happening, brother?
Man, doing great. Had my birthday week's coming up, so I'm working tomorrow. Then going to take the rest of the week off and just relax.
I
You know
hear
how it
you.
is. You gotta have some relaxation. But other than that, it's going great, brother. How about you?
Oh man, I'm great. Is it 30 this year?
31.
31. Oh, so you're already
31.
30. Man,
Yeah,
we are
yeah.
getting old. If you're
Well,
31, I'm really getting old.
I know. I was making fun of it earlier. I said, I'll be 31, but I still got 35 plus years before I can retire, and
Yeah,
that's what sucks about it.
that's exactly right. Long way to go for that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well,
So
we're not here to talk about retirement. We're here to
no.
talk about Alabama football. They held their second scrimmage of the spring yesterday, and there's a lot to dissect, Jake. There's a lot to talk about. There's a
Hmm.
lot to be excited about, and we're going to talk about that out here in just a minute. But as always, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 700 subscribers, and we want to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and help us reach that goal by mashing that subscribe button if you haven't already. While you're there, hit the notification bell and give this video a big thumbs up. All right, Jake, let's just look at this second scrimmage. We've looked at some of our sources and what they've said about the scrimmage, and what to kind of take from the scrimmage. From what Nick Saban said yesterday, following the scrimmage. So, Jake, just from what we've heard, what was really the biggest standout to you from the second scrimmage?
Well, one of the things that I saw yesterday, and if I'm an opposing offense coordinator and my quarterback and my offense lines up and I see Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, and Chris Braswell on the field at one time. My gosh, that's almost an unfair advantage. I mean, even with just Dallas and Will, but now you get Braswell in there. Good night. There is a package that all three of them guys are going to be on the field at one time that they have experimented with that I saw. So if they implement that in the season, good night. Look out. But other than that, Terry and Arnold, he's looking really good, and he's going to be a guy to watch that could potentially take one of those safety positions. I believe potentially.
Well, I don't see him maybe as far as taking over from Jordan Battle or DeMarco Helms or Brian Branch, because Branch has been outstanding. Malachi Moore is still there, and
Yeah.
for and Arnold's mostly been playing at corner, so
Hmm.
he is battling there. But you got to believe that it's going to be Kool-Aid
Yeah.
and Eli Ricks there as your two starting corners. But there's a lot that Alabama can do in that back end of the defense, and that's one of the things
Hmm.
that really stood out to me is the depth they're building there, like the handful of guys I just mentioned, but also Terran Arnold. Christian Story is a guy who is also
Hmm.
developing into a really solid player for this team. So just the depth this team is building, and that's what spring is about. It's about finding out the guys that are your dudes and then the guys that are behind your dudes. So
Right.
it's about development. It's about getting better. And Alabama is developing and building a dynamic defensive team, Jake. And
Hmm.
we talked about it post the national championship game, that 2022 is really kind of the year for Pete Golden as the defensive coordinator. No excuses this year, man. He's got a stacked defense. And one thing I'm thinking about that kind of includes the offense as well. How many teams do you see in college football that return not only the best offensive player in college football, but also the best defensive player in college football? And
Yeah.
that's what Alabama has here in 2022. And from everything that's been happening in spring and what we're hearing has been going on, and what we're going to all be able to see next Saturday in A-Day, 2022, this Alabama team should be pretty dynamic.
Absolutely. And speaking of the offense, one guy that is making a lot of strides, and that's Jalen Milrow. Of course, he does have a year experience and does know the playbook, but there's a lot of people out there saying that he's pretty much almost locked down that second, QB spot from Ty Simpson, which I figured he would because of the experience level.
Right.
Uh, but he's looked really good, and they said he's got a lot. He's always been mobile, but they're saying his passing is looking a lot more smoother too than what it has been in the past.
Well, you mentioned the experience he was able to get last season, and he played enough to get some experience, but not enough that he could preserve that red shirt. So he's still a red shirt freshman. but he's more comfortable now in this Alabama offense. This offense led by Bill O'Brien, and
Mhm.
he's more comfortable. He knows the playbook and is able to execute at a much more consistent level than what a guy like Ty Simpson is going to be able to do. He's just been on campus a couple months, so that's to be expected. But I'm with you. I'm glad that Milroe is developing
Mhm.
because we know it just takes one play and you lose Bryce Young, your star quarterback, and a lot can change then. But
Oh, yeah.
Milroe is a dynamic player. We saw that with his ability to move both in the pocket and outside of the pocket. But if he's developing as a passer as well, he could be an elite player for Alabama, in the future come 2023. So a lot to be excited about in the quarterback room.
Absolutely. And that quarterback room's deep. Running backs, it's looking Trey Sanders has stood out this in these two scrimmages that I've seen as well. But of course Gibbs, everybody's been raving about him, and he looks like a guy that's going to, like you had said, going to contribute out of the backfield in the passing game. And I think he had a reception or two in the scrimmage yesterday.
Yeah, most of Gibbs' impact plays so far this spring have been in the passing game from everything that I've been told. And another guy that's not being talked about that one of my sources is saying was dynamic yesterday in the scrimmage is freshman Jamarian Miller.
Hmm.
Apparently, Miller is an all-around back. He is phenomenal between the tackles, has the speed to break a run, but is also a pretty solid player out of the backfield as well. So Miller is a guy who's playing well. Like you mentioned, Trey Sanders is having the best spring he's had since his time at Alabama. Of course, we know all the battles that he has faced in his time in Tuscaloosa. And, when you look at this offense and what it's going to be able to do in 2022, it's all about the offensive line, Jake. And
Yeah.
yesterday, just so everybody knows, the first string offensive line was Randolph at left tackle, Cohen at left guard, McLaughlin at center, George at right guard, and J.C. Latham at right tackle. And that's really not that surprising at the moment. Of course, there's still a guy to look out for in the transfer portal, and Tyler Steen, the guy from Vanderbilt, and you
Hmm.
expect an announcement any day now. And I would say that Alabama is, probably one of the favorites to land that commitment and the transfer Tyler Steen from Vanderbilt. And that would probably be a guy that's going to be a plug and play guy at the left tackle position. So uh, that is something definitely to be watching out for if you're an Alabama fan. And the second group of offensive line, just so everybody knows, was Amari Codd at left tackle, TJ Ferguson at left guard, Tanner Bowles at center, Jaden Roberts at right guard, and true freshman Tyler Booker at right tackle. So there's a lot of young guys in the mix, but also some guys that have had some experience playing, in a reserve role. So I'm anxious to see how this offensive line ends up shaking out. Of course, the decision by Tyler Steen is going to be, very impactful on how that all looks come fall.
Absolutely. And of course, I think Emil Ekiyor is still hurt right now. So you pretty much can expect when he returns, he'll be slotted at that right guard position. And if Steen, like you said, comes on campus, plug him at left tackle, then you pretty much just have a battle for right tackle. And JC Latham, he's starting there right now, so it could be him. Of course, there, like you have said, there's so much talent at the offensive line positions that anybody can fill in given the injury. Of course, we haven't brought out Dalcourt either. He's got some experience, but I think he may have some injury issues right now as well.
Yeah, but
So,
both Ekiyor and
mhm,
Dalcourt are out for the
mhm,
spring with injuries.
mhm,
And I'm with you. Ekiyor's got a spot along the offensive line. He's not coming back
mhm.
for another year to not play.
Right.
And of course, Dalcourt is a guy who kind of battled injuries at the end of the season last year, and McLaughlin was able to take over his spot there. So um, those two guys are out for the spring, and that allows you to build more depth. Honestly, that's
Right.
what that does because you kind of know who those two players are and what they're capable of. So now you're able to plug and play other guys there and build more depth along the offensive line.
Yeah. If you're sitting here thinking, if Steen does show up on campus and commits to Alabama, you'll have Dalcourt and Randolph, if they don't move him to the right tackle position, who have as your depth players who can come in and play. Because during the game, if a helmet gets knocked off on the offensive line, then they have to come out for a play. Any player really has come off for a play. At least you have somebody you can plug in that's got some experience. If something like that happens, or like you said, an injury happens.
Yeah, no doubt. And I apologize if you hear kids screaming or dogs barking. It's a
Mhm.
madhouse here at the Blackwood residence, but
Oh yeah,
just kind of is
always.
what it is. But just looking at all these at the offensive line, we've kind of touched really on all the guys that are going to be playing this spring, and we'll build depth there this fall. And we've talked about the quarterbacks. We've kind of talked about a few guys on the defense, but there's one guy on the defensive side of the ball that is stepping up this spring and turning heads from people that I've been talking to, and that's redshirt freshman Deontay Lawson, the inside linebacker. And we all know we return Henry To'oTo'o, the signal caller of that Alabama defense. We lose Christian Harris, but Jalen Moody is also back, a guy that has plenty of
Mhm.
experience. But I am hearing that Deontay Lawson is giving Jalen Moody all he wants for that starting inside linebacker spot opposite of Henry To'oTo'o. And apparently he is turning heads this spring, and it's going to be hard to keep him off the field.
Yeah, Lawson. He's just like he's just a young buck waiting his turn, and he's seizing the opportunity right now, and he's pretty much letting Moody know, hey, I'm coming for your spot. And Moody's been there for what,
Yeah.
4 years now, so
This is his
and
fifth year.
his 5th year. So I mean, he experience wise, he is, he has that. But Lawson, man, he's gonna be tough to stop right now. He's looking amazing, and again, the depth. That's what we're learning about, and there's so much depth on this team right now. We just got to get the guys' experience.
Yeah, and the last really kind of position group I want to talk about is the wide receivers. And
Hmm.
and Jake, Jermaine Burton, I don't know that we can express how important it is to have Jermaine Burton on this team. He has
Hmm.
been the most dominant wide receiver that we've had this spring. I was told that he burnt Kyrie Jackson for a 97-yard touchdown in the scrimmage yesterday. And by the way, Kyrie Jackson had a couple good plays in the scrimmage yesterday, breaking up a touchdown pass that was intended to Trayshawn Holden. So it's good on good there in Tuscaloosa. We all know that. And Jermaine Burton has been explosive. And it's even more important now that Ajay Hall is officially moved on from Alabama, Jake. And I don't know about you, and I don't really want to spend a lot of time on that. But I'm just kind of thankful that it's over. That whole drama is over and the whole situation's over with, because it
Yeah.
took away from what's really important, and that's just the development of all these guys on this team and everybody getting better. And instead of worrying about what some guy's doing on Twitter, what his, I'm just glad it's over. That's really the best way I can put it. And I wish Ajay the best. I hope wherever he goes, he lands on his feet, he
Hmm.
performs well, and works himself into a position to maybe play in the NFL one day. Because we all know he's talented, but
Oh yeah.
there's other parts of his game and I guess personal life that kind of needs to be corrected, and hopefully he can get all that straightened out. But I'm anxious to see how these other guys step up now, and from all indications, the two true freshmen, Aaron Anderson and Kendrick
Sure.
Law, have just been fantastic additions to this team. And
Hmm.
we know that Jermaine Burton is a dude. We know that Trayshawn Holden can be is capable. Another guy that you may see kind of turn the corner now that a Hall is gone is maybe a guy like Ty Jones Bell, Jake, a guy
Hmm.
who's been there for a few years now. I think he's to be his third season with us in Tuscaloosa. So he's a guy that to watch out for the rest of this spring and maybe into fall camp if he happens to stick around then. So I'm excited to see these other wide receivers this spring.
Absolutely. And you touched on Aaron Anderson. I have read where commentators have said or have kind of liken him to a Jalen Waddle, like his speed, his athleticism. So, that's got to be scary good, because I mean we all know how great Jalen Waddle was, and of course we still have a speed guy that and JoJo Earl. So there is a lot of talent, again, a lot of talent on the wide receiver depth chart. It's just got to find the right guys and who wants the opportunity. Who
Yeah.
wants to get out there and play. And like you mentioned, the two true freshmen are like, okay, we're coming in. I know we're the young bucks, but man, we want to get on the field. We want to play. Right
Yeah.
now they're showing out right now in the scrimmages and in camp.
Yep. Yeah, and of course, before we don't want to leave the special teams out, Jake. Will
Right.
Reichert is having a phenomenal spring. He made a couple kicks yesterday that were 50+ yards. One was a 54-yard that cleared the crossbar significantly, made it into the first row of the stands
Wow.
there. So if he can continue to grow and become a weapon for this team, that just makes Alabama that much better. And James Burnip, a guy that's going to be entering his second season in college football at Alabama, is also improving his hang time, his directional kicking or directional punting, I should say,
Mhm.
and has really improved his game as well. So just all around, that's what spring is about. It's about improvement. It's about
Mhm.
the young guys getting implemented into the college game, into the Alabama scheme. So just really excited about it, Jake. Less than a week away now to A-Day, and we can kind of finally see this team and kind of what they're going to look like when 2022 season rolls around.
Absolutely. I'm excited. The basketball team kind of faltered late. We got softball and baseball going on, but of course, we always said the bread and butter of Alabama sports is football. So it's exciting to see the guys out there. It's exciting to see, of course, Coach Saban, yelling at the players. He's not really getting on to it. He's just telling them, look, you got to do this to get better. And I mean, he's the GOAT. So it's all coming around, and we get through summer, and it's August, and guess what? Football's back. So I'm really excited, and of course Saturday we'll get to see the team. Of course, nobody shows what they have.
Right.
An A game. It's just a base defense, base offense, but you get to see different guys. I mean, we saw Ajay Hall last year take over the spring game, and now he's
See,
not
and that
even on the team.
right, and
So
that should show you what spring football really means. It doesn't mean
mhm,
a lot. So,
right.
but it is an opportunity to get to see the guys on the field. So, I'm just excited to see some college football.
Exactly. So, especially these guys, because the way their season ended last year, losing in the national championship game, that's still in the back of their minds, and what they all know what the ultimate goal is, and that is a national championship.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm not going to tell Will. I don't want to be the one to tell Will Anderson, you're not going to win national championship this year, because that dude, he's mean, and he's gonna hurt a few quarterbacks this year. I'm afraid,
Yeah,
So
he's really the most dominant player in college football, and
hands
to me,
down.
it's not even close.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just
So
excited to see him back on the field.
me too, man. Me too.
Mhm.
All right, that's gonna wrap up our episode here. Kind of, giving our report from the scrimmage on yesterday. Excited about what's coming up. Just less than a week away now from May Day, like we've been talking about, and we're excited about it. Like I said, help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. We're almost at 700 right now, so help us reach 1,000, and we'll continue to deliver great content here on the Tide Talk podcast. For Stacey Blackwood and Jake Thomas, this has been the Tide Talk podcast. Until next time. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.